Okay. Thank you for sticking with us, folks. We're working through our technical difficulties here. We will be recording the proceedings this afternoon. It will not be shown live, but will be recorded as soon as Peter gets the items fixed. He will upload it to the Glens Falls website. Good afternoon. Welcome to the August 6th meeting of the Glens Falls City Planning Board. We have several items on the agenda this afternoon, some old business, some new business. The first item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes from the July 2nd meeting. I'll start with Ms. Olympus. Anything from you on the minutes? No? Keith, anything from you?
I have to say I wasn't there.
Okay.
No comment.
No comment? You weren't here either. Okay.
No comments.
No comments?
No comment.
I had nothing either, so I would make a motion that we accept the minutes as presented.
Second.
Okay, second. All in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? Motion carries. First item on our agenda is site plan review SPR 24002, Angelo Gaetano. I'm sorry. Yes, Gaetano. I'm sorry about that. From Glens Falls Hospital, owner of tax map number 309.36-2-10, commonly known as 100 Park Street, is seeking approval for the demolition of the existing emergency canopy and to construct an 8,000 square foot building expansion to include associated site work, canopy drop-off zones, parking lot changes, and relocation of the helipad pursuant to the City of Glens Falls Chapter Zoning Code, Chapter 220-220-27B, 4C, D, and 10, subject to the Planning Board review and approval. Good afternoon, Mr. Palumbo.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I am Frank Palumbo with CT Mail Associates, representing the hospital, and we will also have Angelo come up and present some items, and also the architect, Dan Gallagher, is here to address any questions you might have about the building. It really is about the building, and we realize that we'll be back, the project will be back for architectural review in September. Based on our presentation tonight and any questions, if the board is willing to move forward, we would be very willing to accept that. So we did make a resubmission addressing comments that we had received from both the city engineer. We had also had some email exchanges with the fire chief. And worked out a lot of the movements of the fire trucks through the site, which had some, but really relatively small changes since the last time we were here. As I said, it is really about the building, the ED, the department right here, emergency department, existing department here and here, but expanding out, new canopy. We'll talk about the helipad here. But a newer entrance coming through, patient drop off right in this area with a new canopy over it, new ramp and stairs, new handicap spaces that are much more in line with what is best for the servicing of those individuals that need them. A ramp will go down from this higher elevation down to the parking. This parking area reconfigured, the entrance reconfigured to here from over here. This is Park Street, School Street. It previously continued on through to the rear area here. Some of those comments that came from the board at the last items about, well, how do they get back here, how are we doing this, also played into the comments that we received from the fire department. So one of those things was the ability to have access here, but the primary access for those day-to-day use will be around in this direction. But the entrance here, this was worked out with the work that the city was already doing in Park Street here. We've expanded the entrance here as was requested. We originally had, I think, just a 12-foot entrance. That's now a 20-foot entrance there. And an exit here as well, just to allow 2 points of access. This lot here is separated by fencing. This primarily now is servicing the doctors that are servicing the building, who will park in there. And this is for more of the visitors to the hospital and their families and everyone else that would be coming along. So we worked out, and I'll go to the larger size. That was just to get the overall. The exit here, 12 feet, the entrance here, 20 feet. There will be a gate on here, but allows for the fire department to get out here. It will also help when we're getting into the snow removal aspects. Generally, snow removal has always been handled, and these are things that I know are in the letter that you have all received, to push it off, and then when it gets to a point where there's too much, they will truck it off-site, as they currently do in this area. So both we did increase some of the green area around here as we do this, and so less impervious area. This area here is almost all pavement right now. So we are reducing some of that, and then also there were questions about the stormwater management, which we are working and will do as part of the construction documents eventually before construction. But we have dry wells that we're asked to do by the city engineer rather than because of some of the disconnections of the sanitary storm joint system that was here. So we do have dry wells placed in various areas of the parking lot to collect that water. It's really, everything that's happening there is grading in the same directions that it really is now, only we provided some better collection system there. And with that, a lot of this area will not really be new disturbance. Think of this area primarily as if, the majority of it is if you were taking up the asphalt, leaving the sub base where it is, maybe some minor dressing of it just to fine tune some grades, and putting the new asphalt down. And under the SWIP regulations, that we have to work with the MS4 for the city, which is Jeremy, I believe, and confirm that that is not fitting in or does not count towards that acreage that you would have to do your SWIP. But wherever we end up with that SWIP would be coordinated, has to be accepted by the city engineer for sign off. So nothing that we would be doing here at the planning board would change any of that. We have made utility connections in light of some of the changes that were being made out here, and our office coordinated that with the design plans that I believe were Barton and Judas had done, and with the city engineer. So everything that is functionally happening here from an engineering standpoint has been submitted. All the questions have been answered to the city engineer. We haven't heard anything negative in response to that. So we're assuming that we're moving forward in that direction. You can see on your plan some of these arrowed lines. Those are all for the turning movements of the fire trucks. We were given the dimensions of the fire trucks. We were given the radiuses, and we ran those through the auto turns, and all of these have been sent to, I believe it's Lieutenant Worf, that acting as the fire chief, and so we ran those through and communicated back and forth with him for a time period, and we think we've answered all the questions that were on that level. So at this point, one of the things that we do want to talk about is we would like to see if we can progress to an approval tonight. The one main reason is about the sequencing. And we know that there was a discussion in one of the comments about the condition that the board wouldn't want to condition the project on the FAA, we essentially can't wait for that. So if it comes to that, we have an alternative to that that we can talk about. But Angelo, I'm going to have him come up now and talk about the sequencing and how we need to progress and would like to start in September to get as much done in this calendar year and set up the other portions of the project and really get to that heart of the project, which is to build this building here. Everything else will be done in the sequences, as we talked about last time. Very, very complicated because you have so many moving parts and have to stay operational during that. Angela, would you like to come up and talk sequencing? Or I should have asked, were there any questions on this so far?
No, I'd like to hear, I don't know that anybody else on the board have any questions at this point. let's hear from Angela and we'll kind of go forward from there.
So Angela, we have the two boards here, two plans, so I'll flip them when you need to.
Okay, great, thank you. Do I need this or you can hear me?
I think we can do it. It doesn't need to take long.
No.
Okay, great. So thank you all again for entertaining us. As you know, being a tourist community, summer is key. We ramp up. So our whole plan is based to try and be at a certain point by next year's tourist season again, so that we're not impeding, the patient care, obviously. So the first half would be the lot area. It has nothing to do with the building actually itself, but what we'd like to do in order to keep the ball rolling is to start in this area. Once we get the doctor's lot completed, it gives us swing space. One of the things we're famous for is being able to keep things operational while we construct. And so in doing so, sometimes we have to provide shuttle service, and we've done that when we did the Prime lot. We did half of it, we moved folks back and forth safely that way. It could come down to round-the-clock transport if we have to for that. But what we'd like to do is, once this lot is done, it gives us that flexibility to start working. And it doesn't affect patient care while we're doing it. The second phase would be to come through and create the road. We would stop here while traffic still continued down School Street. And then we would be able to prep this, we'd be able to prep the walkway, everything would be able to be done while patients are still being seen normally with no effect. After that's done, we could cut this entrance in here, because our plan would be, as we did this area, would be to just pave this portion so that when we opened it up, we could start to use this lot. So folks would be able to drop off at the current ED and go back, park, get shuttled up if they need to, or walk, whichever the case may be. But we would offer that service as we did that in order to make sure that we could then start on not necessarily this lot here, but this portion here. Once we get this in place, we'll be simultaneously working on the rest of the area, but we'd be able to block the road off at that point because access to the GI and the back of the hospital would be in place and permanent. Entrance would be permanent, and we'd be able to direct traffic around as we needed to. Even if we kept half open as we went and expanded it this way while we finished the back, we'd have that flexibility. But in getting this part key, and all of this done this year, it poises us for the next year. What we hope to do then is to get the addition started in when groundbreaking can happen in the fall. Prior to that, what we would look to do is start on the inside. I know I had talked about this briefly last time, but it would be imperative for us, we're moving the CSU out right now. We're in the process of creating an entirely new CSU across the way in the behavioral health area. That occupies right here. This area here is disposition. What we hope to do is to take this area out as phase one. Have again, starting this in the winter when census is down, allows us to do that because we'll still be utilizing half of the ED waiting room space, right, with less folks. When this is done, we will then move into phase two, also in the winter months. That will then give, starting in the spring, everybody who comes in permanent access to their location. We won't have to keep jockeying them around. Right now they'll be coming and sitting in the current waiting room, going in the common triage rooms. When we do half of it, they'll move over. They'll be in their permanent space, being seen in one of the triage rooms, and we'll complete the second triage room. So this happens all first this year if we can, first part of the year, so that it poises us for the addition in the early spring when we can start breaking ground. At that point, we're no longer affecting patient care. They have their permanent parking, their permanent drop-off, their permanent seating arrangement. There'll be a couple of different spaces back here that will be utilized that'll free up when the ED crisis unit also moves out, but it'll give us more swing space. So this area will remain largely untouched. Patient care will operate continuously without let-up during the summer months while we work here and stage here. So that allows us to move seamlessly through the summer, not having any disruptions. But again, that starts with us starting the outside this year in order to be poised for the upcoming next year. Does anybody have any questions on that so far?
No, I think that you know, a lot of what's going on internally, I understand, takes, you know, a lot of work on your end. A lot of, you know, you're pulling one puzzle piece out and putting another puzzle piece in to make that work, which I think this is fairly well thought out to do that. And I think that, and again, anybody jump in, I think the outside sequencing makes sense. Does that affect anything with Seeker or with your SWIP?
No. The SWIP, the first thing with the SWIP will be that if we have over an acre of disturbance, that we have to do a SWIP. So that's the first thing that we have to establish and work with the city engineer as we develop the that final SWIP. And the SWIP is for construction purposes. So that's step.
And it takes into account the lot as a whole.
Right, the lot as a whole, but then what your area of disturbance is. And so, and by the way, there were just some more recent regulations just promulgated by DEC. So, but we're up to standard with all of that. We know where our drainage is going. And so the nature of it is how we classify what is ground disturbance or not ground disturbance. The sequencing, we have to write that into the SWIP, such that as we evolve and one area is finalized, paved, stabilized, thank you, then another area can begin. And so that'll be part of the sequencing of the SWIP. The SWIP is meant to be adjustable when it comes to sequencing like that. So it is not, I don't think it has any effect on seeker, but I'm willing to hear concerns about that.
But you don't get to the 5 acre threshold either.
No, we would never have the whole acre, total acreage I think we're talking about is of the area that we're working within is 2.77 acres. So yes, we would never need a 5 acre waiver. We'd never have that much open at one time. I think at one time we probably will never have over a full acre, disturbed. Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else have any issue with that? See any issues with proceeding?
So what would your next steps be?
Well, my next step is going to be to ask, is there anyone from the public here that wishes to comment on the hospital? I can't see behind the board, so it's a bit of a hand up. So I'm going to start with Nina and Frank, you're welcome to stay up and go through. So I'll start with Ms. Holmquist and we'll go through our board and see what other questions there are directly.
It was very, very complete, and I remember some of the questions that we'd asked about the whole sequencing of the parking lot and access to the back lot, and address those. And to me, the questions from the city engineer and the fire department were the cogent ones, related to how you were developing the site, and they're all answered. So I don't, from a site point of view, I don't.
Okay. Tom, we'll start with you this time.
No, I don't really have any questions. You mentioned something about the FAA compliance could delay it. I mean, you can't wait for that.
Right. So what we had talked about was that we've run this through an FAA consultant, that has and assures us we meet all the criteria.
Right.
And but I think it came. I don't remember exactly where the communication went that said, "Well, we're going to have to condition this on the FAA approval." We have no control over that time frame, and as Angela just pointed out, we want to get going. So if that were an issue for the board that says, because it could take 6 months, we just don't know. So the hospital does not have to have the helipad. It was, they have alternatives that they had already, and there will be time periods where they will have to utilize those alternatives because this would not be there.
So let's start there. What is the alternative package?
West Falls Firehouse.
Exactly.
That's the next step out.
Right. So the hospital does not have to have this. And if it was conditioned upon that approval, I mean, we will keep the city up to speed on everything going on with that, knowing that we are or not making, whatever we're doing with the FAA, that will continue. But as it is right now, we just don't want that to be a condition that holds up the rest. So if it was just notice to say you will be making an application. Angelo, is there anything I'm saying incorrectly on that?
No, not at all.
I didn't want to trap.
Yeah, we did, like I said, in March, we had Air Methods come out, they did their survey. They came up with a design plan. If you remember last time we came out here, we actually didn't submit for the FAA because we were waiting for approval. We didn't want to start the process to disrupt our helipad prematurely. Then on the 24th, we had received a letter stating that we wouldn't get any conditional approvals pending the FAA approval, which we hadn't started. So we held off on that, and quite honestly, the whole project is the ED project. We had the consultants out from the Huddy Group. They spent 5 months with us. They helped us develop this plan. It's been over a year to get the ED portion of it. And originally, our plan for the helipad wasn't included. Mm-hmm. We extended that afterwards to try and continue to have the helicopter service here. But again, if it has to be conditional, we need to start now. Mm-hmm. Even if it was something that we had to remove. Mm-hmm. So.
I have no problem with that. And it almost seems, it really looks like you're pushing it 150, 200 feet or something. You're kind of just moving it.
Right,
So
right.
it's not-
It really is a
Yeah.
short distance. It
Yeah.
does involve a lot of work. We have this, that's why we went through between our site design and placements there. It even we had the conversation with the fire department on cue there in terms of the trucks being able to move through this zone here. And all of this, we continue to work. We know that a project like this, with all the different sequencing, we're going to have a lot of communication going on during construction between the emergency services, the city engineer. That's going to be something that a project like this it has to happen.
As well as fire and EMS.
As well as
fire and EMS.
Right.
Because, I mean, that's all.
Right. Oh yeah.
contingent.
Just like we're saying, we have to maintain service.
Right.
We have to maintain every part of the service.
Okay.
Does that mean, should we preclude the helipad from the judgment or the approval we're going to give?
Well, I think that anything that we do, I think that we can word our language for however we do this so that they can continue to
Right.
operate this
Right.
and to continue to operate the helicopter
Right.
emergency services. It sounds like you have a plan in place.
Yeah.
And even if we make any potential approval contingent upon final FAA sign-off, I think that will still allow you to move forward with these other pieces, and then once FAA has signed off.
That's the biggest point of our side here is the ability to get moving, and the sooner we can do that. And as Angelo said, this is a late spring summer, I think is what he was saying. So we get this all done. This is the last part of it, because we would take that out of operation as we had already planned, and so that is down the road. If we can get everything taken care of, it's kind of a moot point.
Right.
But we just don't want the rest of it to be held up for that.
Understood.
No, that makes sense. That's all I'm all set.
All right.
No, it seems like it's gonna make a better product for all of us in the hospital. We all hope we don't need it, but
Yeah, exactly.
it's something we do need. It's gonna be a better product for everybody. I don't really see any drawbacks. My question, so the helipad thing is later down the road, but you don't need our approval to go ahead with this other stuff for that part. Did I miss that?
So what we have, let me see if I can explain. What we have right now.
Stage everything.
Right. So we
I don't
have.
want to slow you guys down.
Right, that's the thing. So this would be approved as part of the site plan, and with knowledge, I'll stay away from the word of condition, that we have to proceed towards a FAA approval. If the FAA came back for any reason and said, no, you can't put it there, we would not be able to have the helipad there. And if there was anything that we had to do at that time, other than just leaving it, we could just leave it, just open, like grass. But if we were to do something, an alternative we had was like maybe if we added a little parking there or something, because it's space that, and parking is very highly valued at the site. But the operative method that we have is get the approval, submit, let that run its course while we're doing all this other stuff and getting positioned for it. I think the fear that we had was when it was said, it would be conditional, then we wouldn't be able to start this until we got that. Yeah, it's the semantics, I guess, of it.
Okay, got it.
Yep.
I'm comfortable as well doing that before you have the knowledge that you're gonna get that approval, but I think it's gonna be great. I think the flow from the ED out to the parking lot is gonna be so much better and safer. I think you can answer all our questions. No questions or comments?
Yeah, I'd like to touch on some of the information you were giving us for the stormwater system. You're doing a good portion of that in phases, is what I understand, along with the project itself.
So the first thing we will have to do is work with the city engineer to verify the rightful amount of disturbance area. If we are over an acre, under that classification, we are mandated to do a SWIP. If we are not over an acre, then we can do a soil erosion and sediment control plan with it's like the SWIP light. So once that is determined, and we have everything shown to the city engineer as to how this is happening, that the dry wells are functioning in their manner that they're supposed to, then we get into the sequencing that we talked about.
Yes.
So this area here, and any SWIP has a scheduling component in it. So we will articulate that this will be done first. You excavate, repave, button it up before moving on to the next one. And it's listed in order that way in the SWIP. So it's all the standard procedures of the SWIP or the stormwater management plan. And so it's just that essential, are we classified as being over an acre or can we maintain it at a minimum of an acre? If all of this is and it differs based on locales, some people treat this differently. But if you just, imagine if you were just repaving this lot, and you didn't want to just mill and fill over the top, you wanted to actually put in a whole new thing. Nothing else was going on. You probably would not be required to do a SWIP there. And so that's what we want to clarify as we work with the city engineer as the MS4, and just get that worked out. And then once we do that, then we'll get down to the incremental portions. And any time that we, when we do that, each phase, because imagine on a site that you might see, it's the soil erosion and sediment control is wrapped around it.
Right.
Well, in this case, we'll have to move that just as we finish these. So areas like that might go around here will move to here at that point so that this can be fully operational. So it's a more unique, it's elaborate, it is elaborate. But we're confident that we will follow all the procedures. And like I said, any SWIP before we can start construction, that has to be submitted and signed off by the city engineer. Right? So we can't just do it on our own.
And a lot of it goes from temporary stormwater controls to permanent stormwater
Right.
controls.
Correct.
At that point, it's a switch over and
Correct.
Along with that is you have the inspections and all that stuff that are part of that.
Right. Everything that is required. Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Good.
And what the chairman was explaining, if we had gotten over 5 acres, that changes those up to, you have to get an exemption, and then the same thing of like, does that go to 1 time a week or 2 times a week, so, but we'll follow all procedures.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
all set.
Yep.
I think from the sounds of it, I think it sounds like we're all comfortable moving forward with that. think that we will put the final FAA approval, not necessarily as a condition of approval, but as a contingency, that you will move forward with that and provide us with those updates as they become available.
Right.
And that will allow you to continue to move forward with the rest of it and to sequence your project the way it needs to be sequenced. I think that makes sense
Yep.
for all of us.
Yep.
Okay. So you're up.
All right.
Let's talk about secret.
All right, so as everybody, I'm sure here knows, we have to do a short environmental assessment form, impact assessment with respect to the proposed action. There are 11 categories that are required to be reviewed under the secret process, with the responses being no or small impact, which would be insignificant or inconsequential, moderate to large impact, which means it would need further review and explanation from the board. So we can go down through each one of those, starting with the first. Will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulations?
No.
Number two, will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of use of land?
No.
Number three, will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? Number four, will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area? Number five, will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure or mass transit, biking, or walkway?
No, and I think that part of the engineer's comments, the city engineer's comments, kind of related to that as well, because there was a part of the master plan for Park Street and School Street.
Correct, right.
So-
Yeah,
Okay. Number six, will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities?
No.
Number seven, will the proposed action impact existing A, public/private water supplies?
No.
B, public/private wastewater treatment utilities?
No.
Number eight, will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historical, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources?
No.
Number nine, will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources, specifically wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, or fauna?
No, and their SWIP has taken that into account. They're providing the SWIP.
Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems?
No, in fact, this will probably aid and help with some of the problems that they have.
And finally, will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health?
No.
Okay, based on that, I would suggest that a negative declaration would be appropriate if there's no significant environmental impact.
Then I would make a motion the Glens Falls Planning Board hereby accepts lead agency status for the applicant, Glens Falls Hospital, owner agent of the property located at 100 Park Street. The board has determined the action to be a type 2.
Correct.
Type 2 action. They have reviewed the short form environmental assessment form and upon documentation and discussion issues a negative declaration. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? All right, as far as the site plan, now this is just for site plan tonight. The application has been made for architectural review.
Right,
That comes
correct.
at our September meeting.
Yes.
We'll be back for all of that. And potentially at that point, work may have started at that point with site plan at that point.
or just after, yeah.
Yeah. So we're getting along towards that point. And for everybody's level of comfort, knowing that, you know, if we move forward with this, this is not the last time we're going to see Frank. He'll be back. So we'll be able to.
You'll probably get to hear Dan, the architect, talk more than me, but.
We'll be able to go through and get some, get some feedback and see where we are in that sequence of time as we go through. All right. Then I would make a motion that the Glens Falls Planning Board, acting as a board of site plan review, hereby grants site plan approval for the project identified as Glens Falls Hospital located at 100 Park Street, as presented at the meeting of 6 August 2024, subject to the following. I don't want to call them conditions. I want to say subject to the following items that will be confirmed by the applicant as the project moves forward. That the project will be submitted to the FAA and the project applicant will keep the board informed of the process with the FAA and their approval of that, knowing that the contingency plan for the hospital is to utilize the West Glens Falls Firehouse on a short-term basis for the use of the helipad while that's going on.
Correct.
Everybody comfortable with that? With utilizing that? So with that being said, I don't think there was any other items. The portion you are aware, the SWIP has to be filed with the MS4 with the city, and that's also a condition of approval that takes place.
Correct.
And you move forward with that. So with that, can I get a second?
Second.
Let me figure out who said it first. All in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I believe you're good to go.
I have one thing. We just had someone contact the clerk's office. I just want to make sure there won't be any encroachment permits needed.
Okay.
Okay.
For the work.
All right.
Yeah,
As,
for work. I just
as
wanna
the
make
work, so for fencing, things like that, if there's fencing that winds up on the city sidewalk, those are encroachment permit things. It's just a matter of filling out that application so that we're moving forward.
sure I do them so you can call me and just work it out.
I can make Jim walk down the street from his hands.
It's just a process, so I'll make sure it's done for you.
Correct, absolutely.
Just so that all that's in place
Yeah.
before you start putting a shovel in the ground.
Right, all right.
Good.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Frank.
Really appreciate it.
Appreciate it. The next item on our agenda is architectural review and site plan review for Charles Marshall representing Stewart's Shops Corporation, owner of tax map numbers, there's several parcels involved here, 302.20-21-1, 302.20-21-2, 30.20-21-23, and 30.20-21-22, commonly known as 360 Glen Street, 4 Sherman Avenue, and 1 and 3 Bacon Street, seeking architectural and site plan review for construction of a new 4,500 square foot convenience store and 1,800 square foot freestanding gasoline canopy, in addition to the relief from the required parking spaces from 32 to 23, pursuant to the City of Glens Falls zoning code, chapter 220, section 220-17D, subject to planning board review and approval. Good evening, Mr. Marshall.
How are you? Chuck Marshall from Stewart Shops. I was here July 2nd. I was given some homework to do. I think I achieved most of it. That which I did not achieve, I'll attempt to explain my way through. The items that we were asked to look at, take the mic with me. Matt? We added a row of planting to the 5 vacant side. Brian and I have been working very closely together. It's my understanding he has since asked that they be removed because he would like more room on his side of the fence. I told him you guys asked for it. In the realm of being an applicant, I'm going to show it. If you guys want to remove it, that is something you can consider. One of the things we would be willing to do in exchange of that is we could put sound blankets on our side of the fence, which would mitigate some of the noise that he had asked for. The Pollinator Park has been drawn. That came from the Crandall Park Improvement Group. That is something that we had previously agreed that we would do, and they have provided that drawing. I don't know if Rich has the full set of plans. I did not print one, but I'm 90% sure we've addressed the truck routing where I think all trucking is going to come in and out off Sherman. So there's no need for, we discussed the potential for mountable curb at the right in, right out. And again, that right in, right out is essential because what you don't want to do with Bacon being a one-way street in, you don't want to send everyone through the already existing Sherman light, which is failing under current operation. And until mitigated, you don't want additional traffic coming through there. The one thing we did not do is there was a discussion about putting a row of plantings along the Bacon Street side of the building. What we did instead was we added some spandrel glass. So because this is the cooler freezer side of the building, we can't make it accessible to the street, but to have an element that was not a blank side similar to the back of the building, we did this. One of our concerns was just if you go from sidewalk to landscaping to our building sidewalk, there's an elevation change there and it creates a trip hazard that we're trying to avoid. So we figured the spandrel glass would at least address the blank wall, but get you somewhere closer. Again, we can remove the lights on the back of the building, so Brian doesn't actually see the lights looking over. There will be some light to as he looks to the north, and a photometric plan was provided. Now we'll get into the big piece that we were asked. So we were asked to look at a building that was different from, you guys are gonna have to share. So we're asked to look at a building that is different from the peaked roof that Stewart's originally submitted with, keeping in mind the senior center, which was closer to what we thought would be contributing than the museum. So this is a single roof building that has the corbels. And that was what we originally submitted in our packet. The owner of Stewart's feels or felt that that building itself is massive. You know, and as you are near or as you go up Bacon to a residential use and residential properties. So he wanted me to show a tiered roof building. He thought the benefit of the tiered roof was it's not as the mass of the structure. The difference in height is approximately 10 inches. So this is 19 feet 4 inches, and the single roof building is 20 feet 2 inches. So they're similar in height. It's just, do you want it broken up with the step roofs or not? And then the last thing from my perspective, I believe it was provided to you, but an assessment was done on 1 and 3 Bacon Street for their demolition as to whether or not they contribute to historic significance. Hudson Cultural Services, which is a architectural firm that specializes in assessment, indicates that they are not. And from the seeker perspective, I just want to provide you guys with those findings. The last thing that I was asked to do, I'll go back to the site plan. We did move the building, so if you remember, the building was at like 6 feet or something like that in the initial submission. It was moved further toward Glen. It now sits at about approximately 12 feet, and the variance was provided from the zoning board of appeals.
I knew that was your next item.
Yeah.
The variance was-
So we got the variances from 5 Bacon and from Bacon Street. We do need a modification on the Bacon Street variance in that when we switch from our building to the building we're providing, the roof, the drip line is shorter. And we also think that there might have been some mislabeling. So the zoning board granted a 0 setback, and we are actually at like right around 8 feet.
So what you're asking for is
A modification to be more, and we're closer in compliance.
more compliant than what was granted. Okay.
Correct. And that's it from me.
Okay. Is there anybody from the public that wishes to speak on this application? I know Ryan is here.
Yeah, that's the.
Thank you.
Yes, I want to thank Chuck for working with me to get my handicap access resolved, which is on the east side toward Glen Street. I appreciate it very much. I think I sent everybody an email that got it. I haven't sent an email in 15 years. I used to
We
send-
appreciate you. Actually, it went to Rich, and Rich forwarded it to us.
Did it?
Yes.
You didn't get them all? No. I used to send them throughout the world, but 15 years, you know. So yes, the trees, thank you for your thoughts. Me and Chuck said sound barrier would do that. If you put trees there, it's going to handicap my handicap access, which is, so it would be nice if we'd have the sound fence, as Chuck said. Again, I appreciate everything Chuck's been doing for us.
So you'd rather not have space than not have the trees?
I need the space. I have to have wheelchairs, I have snow, and everything there. With the way the building's gonna be, there's not gonna be no place to put snow, in the neighbor's yard anymore.
And like Chuck said, you instead of putting trees there, you could put a sound blanket on the inside of the fence.
Yeah,
And
yes.
that gives you your 10 feet.
10 feet from the property.
So you're happy, they're really working with you and everything?
Yes, he is. He's worked from the beginning with me. And again, I appreciate it. We have our handicap access with me, which we have the sound, and he's worked with other aspects with me. So we work together well.
Great. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak on this application? Yes.
I'm Anthony St. Andrews. Lived here for 24 years, and I'm on the tree commission. And I was wondering, with the elm trees that are in front, what ones are you getting rid of any of those? Or when I was looking at the one plan, which sounds like you've changed, you were keeping 2 of them? Right on Glen Street. Between the sidewalk and the road.
If they're between the sidewalk and the road, they're actually the city's trees.
City's.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, so
there are
these,
those, right.
these 2 are staying.
Okay. I didn't know, I'm sorry to get down there to see if there was another one in there. But there'll have to be some kind of protection around them during construction.
Yeah, they're outside of their work. So the protection of them is up to them to make sure that they're protected.
Right, that's what I was saying. There has to be some around there. Is this all new sidewalk?
Yeah, there will be all new sidewalk.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So, and I was also wondering for the homes that you're taking down, is there 2 or just 1?
2.
There's 2. So I didn't know if you checked, I heard you talking about the Historical Society and that the houses are not.
Yeah, the assessment we received is that they're not eligible.
Right, for this sort of, I was wondering if you ever thought of doing the architectural salvage on them? Because even
If the
though,
board, I mean, if that's if that's something that is of interest. I have not been in them I can't tell you what's there to save.
right,
But all of that would have to be done after the asbestos mitigation.
oh, okay.
I mean, door handles, obviously,
Right.
doorknobs and handles and stuff like that could come off.
Right.
But the building has to remain, for lack of better terms, vacuum tight.
Right. Yeah, because I know you haven't been in it, but for any kind of
I've been to the
fireplaces
front
or,
doors.
molding or anything like that, from the old houses, better than just throw it in the dump. Maybe if there's any, I know there's salvage places that, then you don't have to pay somebody to take it down.
Yeah, we did, some of the furnace and stuff like that we had, given to Brian already.
Okay.
So we're trying to make sure that some of that stuff that is usable,
Okay.
does not end up in the landfill.
Right.
But again,
Right.
I'll address it.
Okay.
Thank you. Anybody else? Seeing none, I'll start with Ms. Holders.
It was nice to see that you were able to sort of finesse the position of the building and give a little more breathing room to the project and the other things we talked about last time in terms of traffic flow and all of that. I was the one who kept saying, put plantings on that side of Bacon only because I didn't want it to be kind of this pavement dead zone, but it seems like, you've got ice back there and you've got other things back there, so. Just so I understand, is the grade gonna be exactly the same between
Yeah, it'll
your
match.
paving and public sidewalk?
Yes.
Where are you putting the bicycle rack, or racks that you share? There was a cut for them in some of the drawings. Go ahead.
No, I don't know, but they should go on the vacant side of the building because that would keep let's be honest, more than likely they're gonna end up in front of the front door, and not using the rack at all. But
I was gonna say, it's such the kids are always riding their bikes to Stewart's, so I noticed that there was a cut for bike racks and I thought, well, yes, that is important.
yes, so I think if we put it down here, it'll utilize the space that we're creating, and then keep them out of the front of the building, which is the trip hazard area.
If they do that. So then to your elevations, I was really glad to see you guys come back with something that was different, and I was noticing that the roof line that you showed here picked up on the brackets and everything on both the Chapman and the Senior Center and all of that, and it's different than what was the typical design. And there was something nagging at me about the massing of it, and then you brought this in. And I like that better.
That is our.
This breaks up. This is my opinion, but that's a nice detail. But there was something about the largeness of it, and from a scale point of view, I do like how that sort of centers the entrance and it breaks up that big roof line. I'm not sure how that roof works there, but I'm not overly concerned it'll work good. You guys will make it work. But just the idea of taking what was a different design and then breaking it up a little bit, I like that. As well as putting the windows all around. And then you're going to have spandrel glass because obviously those aren't windows on the vacant side, and then on one side that'll be like a gray, blue, or something that.
Gray.
Yeah.
I married an art teacher.
She'll pick.
Yeah. I get all guidance, like,
Yeah, no, I mean, I like the level of detail that's now shown in the entrance and around the windows.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Lanier, I'll start with you.
I think it's gonna be a great addition, what we have seen there for congregation. Again, with Nina's, information and opinion, I think it's a great, it's a great project.
You're good with the change that they're proposing with the separated roof lines?
Absolutely.
I think that's the direction that Chuck
Gives a
is.
lot of character in my.
Well, he gave us a couple options here. I think we're all kind of,
Yeah, that's what I want
Yeah.
us as we're going through this to be able to direct.
All on the same page.
Check, yep, everybody's good on that.
First, I want to thank you for working so hard with the neighbors. I appreciate that. And coming up with another design, and I really like that. And as far as the landscaping, I'm okay with getting rid of the trees, for Ryan so that he can have his space like this, and okay with that. I just want it, as long as there's that sound barrier.
yeah, they're just, it's like a sound blanket quilted, it's basically just like a quilted blanket.
Something
So
that
thank you
absorbs sound.
Yep.
Thank you for all your hard work. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
On the north elevation, I don't understand why there's another roof here. Because I think, I like the new design, I think it looks fantastic. But on the north elevation, on the original.
There's a porch on the door on the Sherman side.
Right.
So then there's a step, it's a stepped roof. So like it would be, it's here. So the porch roof's here, then and then the second roof. So I don't know if because you're looking at it this way, it looks like it's three, I mean, it's the porch roof, the primary roof, and then the either.
Okay, I thought that the north elevation on the original, I love that with the corbels running along the width of it. You see what I'm saying? So, like,
Yeah.
with this, with the second roof, it doesn't have any corbels. And I thought that looked really nice coming up from Mark, or coming up from Mark. It would look really nice. And then, I agree with you about having it broken up a little bit, the mass of it. But I do love the corbels on it. I think it would add to it to have them on the other elevations as well. That's my only thought. Maybe. Because these are beautiful. When I got those plans, I was so
Yeah.
happy. It's gorgeous, yeah. So that's my only thought about that.
you tease us with a
No, so I hate talking about buildings. I'm very comfortable talking about access and flow and site and stuff like that. Buildings, I get like an itch.
But you guys have done a great job.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't know if Ms. Oldenquist or, Ethan can make a recommendation, for how to incorporate it. I think it gets a little tricky with, like here it's flat. So I don't know where you would attach it to,
Right.
that it would,
Yeah.
yeah.
There's not really a good spot to attach them, and because you've dropped the roof line down, you've taken away the space between the top of the windows and.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the only other way
It's
to,
up and on the side here.
well, the other,
North elevation.
Yeah, and then you've got that.
They are on the north
that-
pole.
no, well,
East.
Yeah.
no, yeah, but on the,
See, even here.
On the north
On the north elevation.
Yeah.
On that
Yeah.
back part.
So
And
on the
it's-
original one you said they all, I mean, I know that's a different.
the only, yeah, so I think the issue is that the roof line, you'd have to,
It doesn't allow for it.
well, you would have to drop the porch roof.
No, just from the porch roof back. Not all the way across.
Oh, so just like back here?
Yeah, that's it, yeah. Right.
I mean, I think.
I mean, I'm in the mindset to just say yes, because if everyone wants, like, I don't, like, I don't, like, this is like, this is, so where I am right now is I'm over the hard stuff.
Yeah.
And if that's, you know, what makes you comfortable or happy, like, I'll say yes, but
I think you guys did a great job. I love
Okay.
the mountains on all the elevations, but if you can't do it, you can't do it.
I can, I just think it's gonna look like we did it just to do it, not like it has.
Not like it was meant to be.
Not that, right, when the building was like the single roof, and everything was above it and flat, it made more sense, but here, I think it's gonna look like we're just doing it to.
Yeah,
slap it on
I
there.
tend to agree.
You see that.
You see it in the front.
That looks different, yeah.
It does,
Yeah.
it looks great.
And,
It does.
and there are some elements of those same brackets at the porch columns.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. So
So what do you want above and beyond?
And I love the span on glass balloons, I think it's gonna be.
No, I think this is the last, you know, just so everyone, I mean, I've been trying to buy for Sherman Ave, the parking lot for literally 10 years. So this is, I think, the last project in the city, because I think we've touched all of our stores.
I think it's nice in keeping with the look of the city. I think you guys did a
Yeah,
nice job
no.
of looking at the buildings around it.
It's gonna really look great on the corner.
Thanks.
Thank you.
The only thing that, these drawings, outstanding, I really think you guys went above and beyond. The only thing I would say is after sitting across the street from Stewart's and Indian Lake for like 4 hours on Saturday afternoon, the spots in the front, and there's a couple spots where you can do it, like on the main entrance of the store, take one of those emblems away and make the other one a foot wider. You have the parking, people park along the other spots. I see people fighting, trying to get in there, and you're coming out of your store with bags and stuff. Take one of them away and make the spots a foot wider. Wherever you can make, like if you have a little line here between the curb and the spot, take that away, make the spots a little bit bigger.
Okay.
You know, it'd be better to have one less spot, or where you have these areas where it's crossed off, make the spots bigger and make those areas smaller.
Is it a required?
Vehicles are getting bigger, spots are getting smaller.
Are you required?
We're already-
Are you meeting your, no?
You guys are already, one of the things is we're already here for a waiver.
Right.
So, I mean,
Yep. How does everybody else feel about that? We good with, so the request is from 32 that are required down to 23. This would be down to 22. To make that change.
People come and go short trips.
I tend to agree that, you know, personally, I think that these are all relatively short trips. And I can say from seeing the one on Ridge Street, the turnover is quite fast.
And every once in a while, someone will sit at the tables inside, but oftentimes when someone's getting gas, they use that as their parking space.
Yeah,
Not
for temporary. Yeah.
I think having wider, a little bit wider spaces, and having one or two less is probably better.
And they have all this parking, and you see, I mean, like I said, I literally sat on my porch and watched. You can do it, you can go to any of them. People park along these outlying things where there aren't spots.
Yeah,
There's plenty of parking there, so to make that better for all of us when we use your facilities.
no, I guess as long as we're talking about the ones out here,
Right.
not the, you're not talking about all around the building, just
Well,
in the
like
front?
that left side, you have two spots that are marked off on each side of that where it's X.
Yeah.
Just
So-
maps.
Well, that's your walkway going in the front.
Yeah.
On the north side, you have two spots there where it's just Xed out,
We have one in each.
one on each end. Where the parking spots change from, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, this is a walkway, or intended to be a walkway to the gas.
Yeah, and that's like, you know, I don't know what the dimension, there's no dimension on here, but the one is definitely wider than the other, the one in the back is never.
This is like where the loading area is.
Yeah. And you pick up a foot or
So I guess my concern, if we do it on the side here, I don't wanna lose the designated walkway. Because that, I think is problematic.
Yeah.
I mean, how often do you pull into someplace now where someone's parked over the line?
similar to the bike rack comment, I agree with you, but I don't, like, I'm fine with losing them in here, losing the space in here. I'm concerned about losing the delineated delivery and walkway areas on the side.
I think across the Glen Street side of the front.
I think it's gonna be completely fine along Glen Street.
Okay.
I'm hesitant to give up the delineated loading and walkway areas along Sherman.
The air is on the corner, right, so people sort of pull in all.
Yeah, the freestanding air would be most likely used in space 9.
Right, that's where.
That's really, put that
Parks
thing
and nine and
out
10
here,
houses.
because then people always park there, you can't get to it.
It has to be near the building.
That's where the air is.
Anything
I
else?
just have, while they're looking at the traffic, remember last meeting, it looked like in one of the traffic light patterns that Sherman was gonna be.
It's in your packet, so the truck routing is almost all off Sherman.
Okay, but that's still gonna be two-way, right? Because I thought that there was.
Yeah, so the access configuration, Sherman is two-way.
Yeah.
Glen is right in, right out.
Or I'm sorry, was it no left turn? What was on that? What was the traffic pattern?
We were gonna make it just for
Yeah,
Okay, but it's.
yeah, it's right in, right out.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, and just remember, that was because bacon only goes in. And the concern was, one of the comments during the zone change and the zoning board of appeals was sliding the building all the way over. And the problem is that you still need an access on Glen, or else you have to send everyone through the intersection, which is already failing. So you'd have to slide this all the way to the corner, which is not achievable.
That's all that looks great. Took care of Brian, and that was one of my big worries.
Yeah.
And the drawings are outstanding. Thank you for changing that.
It was pretty clear that that was a concern.
I'd like to see 3 or 4 with different versions.
I was gonna say, this is all.
At least 3 or 4.
Well, you can single-handedly say you did that.
You can.
Well, you know what it is, to be honest with you, I really liked option 2 because I didn't like option 1. But this one you just sent us today is works.
Yeah.
It's different. And the thing I think it's gonna do for both the city and for Stewart's, and I keep going back to that one in Troy, this has got some wow factor to it.
Yep.
This isn't I can't believe the one down in Saratoga. Like, that's, they got one over there by Division Street, it's the same one that's on one, up by the $1 million line. So, we're gonna have a better look at Stewart, Saratoga does.
So ironically, I'm the chairman of the Saratoga Springs Planning Board. So my inability to render opinions on stewards in the city may have something to do with it.
No, that does, it looks great.
Right.
And like I say, I think it's gonna be an asset to both of us.
You have to build a lot of those.
Yeah. Well, from our perspective, the building doesn't really change. That's, I mean, and not that to say that we have like a formula, like we have obviously we've somewhat maximized our efficiencies, but like to change the roof line was easier than, coming up with an odd shape or something like that. So, it wasn't a problem.
The box is still there.
Yeah.
And then also too, just to go back, I know you had worked with Brian, I know he's very appreciative, we have too. You're gonna give him 10 feet off the line for the fence. There's gonna be a sound blanket on the building side of the fence.
Yep.
There's gonna be no bushes in that 10 feet.
Correct.
Okay.
There will be grass,
Yeah.
but
Yep.
he can drive on it. And,
Other than that, I think, like I say, I think this thing is, with these gardens and things, I'm real excited. I think we're gonna have one of the better looking stores around.
I think you have a good shot.
Yeah. So,
Good.
I'm all set.
I too am thankful for everything you've done to help us out here as you go through it. I think you've gone above and beyond what we normally see, so appreciate that. Mr. Newfield.
Seeker. Again, we have to do the short environmental assessment form for a seeker analysis. We go through the questions. For the record, again, no or small impact would be inconsequential. Moderate to large impact would be an impact that requires further review by the board. Again, 11 enumerated categories, and I'll go through each for the board's decision. So, would the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulation?
No.
Will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of the use of the land? Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community?
It's going to be approved.
Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area?
No.
Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkways?
No.
Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities?
No.
Will the proposed action impact existing A, public-private water supplies,
No.
B, public-private wastewater treatment facilities or utilities?
No.
Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historical, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources?
No.
Will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources concerning wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, and fauna?
No.
Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage?
No.
Will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health?
No.
That completes the part 2 of the short environmental assessment form.
I make a motion that Glens Falls Planning Board hereby accepts lead agency status for the applicant, Charles Marshall, representing Stewart's Shops Corporation, owner of the properties located at 360 Glen Street, 4 Sherman Avenue, and 1 and 3 Bacon Streets. The board has determined the action to be a type 2 action. They have reviewed the short form environmental assessment form. Upon documentation and discussion, issues a negative declaration.
Just classified unlisted, please. Because it exceeds the type 2 threshold. The type 2 threshold's 4,000 square feet.
So which is
Unlisted, it's
Unlisted.
4,500.
Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
yep.
So I will.
I just want to make it
Modify that to an unlisted action.
I want to make it consistent with the
as opposed
zoning
to a
board.
type 2 action. Gotcha. Thank you. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We are looking for site plan and architectural review. The items that I'm looking at for our conditional approval are the sound blanket on the fence between the Bacon Street side neighbor and removal of the trees, that the architectural salvage be looked into by the applicant to salvage any of the items out of the buildings at 1 and 3 Bacon. The bike rack storage be placed on the Bacon Street side of the building as discussed, and that the parking waiver be granted from 32 spaces to 22 spaces so that the spaces along the Glen Street side can be increased. 32 are required down to 22. Everybody good with those? Okay.
Do we have to specify option 2 as far as the building?
We will, yes, we will do that as well. That we will choose the latest option 2 for the exterior elevation. Good with that, Chuck?
Yes.
Then I make a motion that Glens Falls Planning Board, acting as the Board of Architectural and Site Plan Review, hereby grant architectural and site plan approval for the project identified as Charles Marshall, representing the Stewart's Shops Corporation, located at 360 Glen, 4 Sherman Avenue, 1 and 3 Bacon Streets, as presented at the meeting of 6 August 2024, subject to the following conditions: that the sound blankets be provided on the fence on the west side of the building and the trees on that side be removed. That the architectural salvage be investigated for the buildings being demolished at 1 and 3 Bacon Street. That the bike rack storage be added to the Bacon Street side of the property. That the parking waiver is granted from 32 required spaces to 22 provided spaces. And that the board chooses option 2 for the exterior elevations of the building. Can I get a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you for your time.
Thank you all.
Just going back to the previous application, I'm going to make note of this with Emily when she's back, but we are going to clarify that that seeker as well is an unlisted action, not a type 2 action. So I just want to clarify that on both of those projects. The next items on our agenda are a couple of items that have been tabled several times. It's being further tabled to September. These are architectural review AB 24-002 and site plan review 24002 for Margaret Gerard at 115 and 117 Warren Street. The phase 2 environmental is taking longer for the engineering group to get completed than has been anticipated. This is why we're further tabling this motion. So I make a motion to table those 2 items until the September meeting. Can I get a second for that? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. We move on to new business. First item under new business. You are correct. Yep, you are correct. I'm sorry. So we do have another item under old business, which is the encroachment permit for Elizabeth Hoffman, owner of tax map number 302.20-19-17, commonly known as 15 Elizabeth Street, seeking approval to install a driveway apron at this location where there is no curb present, pursuant to the City of Glens Falls zoning code, Chapter 220, Section 220-12K, number 1. This application requires an advisory opinion by the planning board to the common council. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. The last meeting, it was requested that we have a survey, so I'm hoping that everybody has a copy in their agenda packets. If not, I do have a couple extra. And I did submit a letter just addressing concerns from the last meeting. So I don't know if you have any questions presently, or if that did not address concerns.
So the items that you've outlined here that you've gone through in your letter, and those kind of address all of the items that we brought up in the last meeting, correct? Okay.
And Labella did include a area within the survey of where the driveway will be placed.
That's the shaded area
Yes.
that you have
Yep.
shown here on the drawing.
Yep.
Is the area.
And as mentioned, after figuring out, doing a lot of math, we will actually be putting more grass back into that area than is presently there. We'll be actually putting more grass into that area. You know, there was a concern about loss of grass. So since we're removing all of the concrete that is along the side of our house, which is just like an extended sidewalk, and replacing a lot of that cement with grass, and then figuring out how much grass is actually within the turf pavers, we're actually putting more grass back into that area. In our driveway, the proposed driveway does not, we did not request to go all the way to the survey line, as you'll see.
Right, it looks like it stops just short, so that means an area between your proposed drive and the existing drive on the other side.
And just to address just the prior letter that we did see after the fact, there is no intent to park a service vehicle in that area. The service vehicle would not fit, and we only have service vehicles at certain times of the month when my boyfriend is on call. So that would not ever be placed there. It would not fit. So there's not.
So this is just a person?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yep. Just had a child that is planning to attend college locally, and that is the need. And we have more than enough room for snow removal. We plan to, just plow it towards the end of the driveway. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's the space that's between there and where the generator is located?
Yes, and that actually is all a grass. It will all be a grassy area, a landscaped area, but they're plants that are dormant in the winter. So, and if needed, we would remove the generator if that is a concern by anybody. We can remove that generator to another location.
Okay, is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak on this application? I know the neighbor's here, and I'll ask them if they can come up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. I just want to reiterate, I'm Brian Kirk. I'm at 13 next door, and I appreciate the fact that they're willing to have some more green space and that there would be just a regular car. That was nice to hear. I still reiterate some of my original concerns, that it is still a tight space. There's only 10 feet according to the surveys. I had one done at my property, which I think you have a copy of. And so they both revealed 10 feet is what is available on the property line. Still, my question is, what I bring up is about rainwater drainage. With less grass in that area, it would flood my driveway, which has already happened some this summer with the recent storms, and also snow removal. The front half, I would have to blow out into the street, and I don't know if the plow trucks would like that. Then I would have to re-blow it twice to get it back into my yard. So there's a problem there with the snow. So have you all seen the site in question? You've been there and seen it? Okay, great. I'm glad to see that. So, and then of course there's a gas meter that sticks out over a foot that might affect the spacing of that. So, but I was glad to see the surveys done, and that seemed to be very helpful. So those were my mainly issues, and just what standards are being used to judge the decisions, so, as far as what would be done. So, okay. All right.
Question.
Yes.
Where do you put your snow now?
The back part in front of the garage goes in my backyard. They have a fence there, and so I don't blow it over it. I blow it there, so that's about 1/3. And then the next part goes into their part, and part of it's mine, about 1.5 feet, and then it skews to just a few inches towards the actual front. So most of it goes there, and some, as I get closer, goes to a little land area in the front of my house. So it's, we've always had a nice courtesy to do that.
So, and I think that with this layout, I mean, there's not, they're already stating that they're plowing their stuff straight back, so I would think that can be blown right back to where their snow plow end is going to be as well. So I don't see an issue with that moving forward from there.
I have a daughter that has this exact same situation, and unless you're blowing your snow onto your neighbor's yard, I don't see how what they're doing would affect it. I have the exact same thing, and I do her snow blowing a lot, and I have to to the back. And then I have to blow the front towards the street, I have to blow it once out, and then I have to blow it over to the front yard. And
Well,
it's-
it'll take more than twice as long to blow it and take care of it. And with a car sitting there, I'm certainly not gonna blow it on their vehicle. I wouldn't do that. For any
Well,
more.
like I say, I guess what we're trying to understand is unless you're blowing it on your neighbor's property now, this won't change.
Yeah.
You're still blowing at it.
Well, it wouldn't be able to go for the length of the driveway with certainly a car sitting there. Because I'm not gonna blow on the vehicle or try to blow over the vehicle.
No, but there might be a vehicle now, or there's a small driveway there now.
It's more of a sidewalk.
Yeah, kind of a sidewalk.
There's no driveway
Yeah.
in mine, you know,
Yeah.
so anyway.
Okay.
Okay? All right, thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to address? Mr. Pelton?
Good evening. My name is Hank Pelton. I live at 12 Elizabeth Street, which is directly across the street from both the neighbors. I have a similar situation like you were saying. I have a driveway on both sides of my house. We make it work. I don't see what the problem was when they were trying to do what they're doing. They've done nothing but make improvements to their house and to the street, basically. But as far as the snow, I mean, I just heard him say that about the snow. What we do on my side of the street, and we try to help out, we all work together, snow blowing each other's driveways and stuff like that when they're not home and things. So we blow it out to the street and then onto their front yards, okay? Because we have the snow that falls on both sides. But like I said, between one side of my driveway, there is about maybe a foot strip in between of green grass that we grew a tree that's probably 8 to 10 feet tall now. But you know, that's not what they're looking for. They want to put a driveway in there. Everybody that's on our street, the majority of them do not have the convenience of having a driveway or a parking area. So we either have to park on the street, which is an inconvenience because we have to call it every time we want to park our car out front. We have to call the police station, which is an old law. As I found out in the years, it was back when the days of the police force wanted to look down your street and make sure there was nobody down there doing anything vagrancy. So, but as far as back to the green space and all that stuff, you know, they're just asking to put a driveway in there. If it's an inconvenience for him to throw his snow, he was throwing the snow on their yard as it was anyways, and we kind of, like I said, we kind of work together. They just want to put a driveway in there for their kid. So I know I don't have a problem, and when we got the letters about this, I wasn't able to make the first meeting. I had football practice and some other things going on, with my mother, so I couldn't be here. But I just wanted to come and speak our mind and say that, you know, we have no issues with what they're trying to do across the street. So, all right?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Seeing none, please.
Address to, if needed, we would call National Grid to have the gas meter moved further at the other end if that is a concern. But we had planned, I know that they did not drive those in, but we had mentioned before that we were going to put in stop posts. Yeah.
The shaded area is now just the driveway area that you're proposing. Right?
Yes.
And that stops before the gas meter, correct? Or no? No, it's right, gas meters in.
Right.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. Yes.
In
And then,
one of the pictures, he's right behind the ladder.
Oh, okay.
yes, we've been finishing some siding on our house.
And there's another picture, I think, that actually the key to the ladder. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
It's right at the end of the ladder. So, and again, I think that that a bollard placed there is probably your best bet to protect that. That's typically what you would do with a gas, or a gas meter.
And my other question is, the survey seems to show steps off the front porch, so you would be changing that? You have steps off the side porch?
No, they have already been changed. Some of those pictures were prior when we purchased the house.
Okay.
And so I just wanted to emulate, like we have made a lot of improvements. It was a house that was not, I wouldn't say in the best condition, a little bit of an eyesore, so.
Okay.
And we did that because I, in college, knew that you cannot block you cannot pay an egress with a driveway, so.
So I'm turning it over to you. Do you have any other
Yeah, I mean, the last time we talked about this, I guess there were two things. I noted that Glens Falls requires each house to have 2 parking spaces. Each dwelling unit to have 2 parking spaces. So from an obligation point of view, you have them, maybe there isn't an obligation. But my feeling is the space you have is wider than a required parking space within a parking lot by foot. And your neighbor, with his length of driveway, could potentially line cars up all the way to the street, so it's not that in and of itself. And you could and should and would then, if you were to do this, make sure to pitch that driveway so that all of the water stays on the property.
Yeah. Yeah, and presently, I believe that the other driveway is actually pitched towards our property presently, so we would just have to figure out how to, I guess, pitch it all to the middle.
The houses are also tight.
Yeah, I know,
There's
I know.
no green space and things
Yeah.
where they flow, but
Yep.
in the name of not exacerbating, that could be.
And I think that the use of the grass block is going to make a
Yes.
a
Oh,
significant
that's
amount of.
right.
So that
Yeah.
it's not,
It's not paved, it's paver block. So we have a significant amount of infiltration through
Yeah.
there. Okay? That cover you?
Yes.
Okay. You want to start with Tom?
I think the only thing I can see is, again, only because I've been living with the exact same situation for 5 years. I see no problem. This isn't going to change the snow removal for anybody. And then also too, that the drainage, since you're putting in, is not only a pervious surface, it's got grass going through. So you're probably going to end up with as much grass, if not more than you have now. The only concern I have is, and I think we've brought it up, I would provide some kind of protection for that gas meter.
Yep.
You know, that basically.
Yeah, unfortunately, they didn't put those bollards into, and
Right.
that was my mistake, not telling Damien Olabella to do that.
Right.
But there's definitely, my boyfriend works for Suburban, he's very aware of gas meters and
Yeah.
what needs to be protected.
Well, I've noticed too, only because I ride my bike a lot, you've done a lot of improvements to that house. You've
Thank
done
you.
nothing but improve it. And, like I say, I think this would be a good addition.
Thank you.
So, that's all I have.
Bert?
I don't have a problem with it. Make sure they're professionally installed, where you're gonna be, there'll be moving around on it, it'll look nice. Be there early.
Thank you.
I agree.
Yeah. Good.
I agree. No question.
No concerns?
Okay. I do, I mean, I appreciate the fact that this, you now understand where we're at with the survey, why we, you know, now you see, for us before, when we were looking at it as a tax map, it doesn't lay those things out.
Oh, yeah, I know for the GIS, yeah.
And
Mhm.
now it shows us
Yeah.
exactly where we are, so now we can.
And there was one marker missing. The front, we must have missed it by like 2 centimeters when we were digging around for it,
Sure.
because it was there.
And without a pipe finder, a lot of times,
Yes,
you're not gonna find it anyway.
exactly.
So I appreciate the fact that you went through the effort to do that, and you've gone through the effort to move forward with the project, so I appreciate that. No seeker on the, is that correct? It's just an advisory opinion? Then I would make a motion that the Glens Falls Planning Board hereby submits the following advisory opinion to the Common Council, that the council should look with favor on the application of Elizabeth Hoffman, owner of what is commonly known as 15 Elizabeth Street, for a curb cut and apron at that location, subject to the drawings that have been provided and the survey that was provided at the meeting of 6th August 2024. The what? As it was submitted here with the permeable pavers, and that
And the bollards.
and that the gas bollards be installed to protect the gas line. So, anything else? Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor? Is there any opposed? So that moves on now to the common council. That will be the next meeting.
It might be able to make it on the next one. If you, it will be on the 9th. No, what's next Tuesday, whatever next Tuesday.
Okay.
If you want to give me a call tomorrow.
Okay.
In the clerk's office.
If there's any added information.
Yep,
you
I'll
need.
email it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for picking me up. I missed that. Okay, now we will move on to our new business. First item under new business, site plan review SPR 24006, which is Matthew Hummel, applicant representing Howard N. Leibowitz, owner of tax map number 310.5-3-8, commonly known as 91 to 93 Warren Street, seeking site plan review to finish new basement walkout kitchen, deck, parking waiver, in addition to the first floor dining event center pursuant to the City of Glens Falls zoning code, chapter 220, section 220-27B, subpart 4, is subject to planning board review and approval. Good afternoon.
Good evening, how are you?
Wonderful. How are you tonight?
All right.
For the record,
It's Matt Hummel. I'm the contract vendee for 9193 Warren Street.
and I know that we had spoken about some things at the last meeting. You want to just give us a quick update as to where you are with those items?
Yes, we did. There's a couple of items regarding the parking, showing it as tenant parking on the site plan to show the spaces for the apartments above. There's a comment regarding the dumpster and the placement of that, so that was changed on the site plan to be at a 45-degree angle, so as not to ever be blocked by traffic because of the deeded right-of-way, the driveway there. The truck would come up for Della and grab it and, offload it and do what's got to be done there. And then we're looking for a waiver as well for the parking for the restaurant space.
That's it.
I believe so. I missed something.
All right. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak on this application? Seeing none, I will start with Ms. Holmquist.
So just so I understand the parking, you've got, there are 2 units upstairs.
Yep.
You're showing 4 cars,
Uh,
4 spaces behind. Right here,
Yes.
the 1, 2, 3, 4. Are you calling those the tenant spaces?
They're tenant, it's tenant parking, yeah.
Is there, so would there be room for staff parking for the event facility?
Just the one spot would be underneath the deck that's shown.
The ones,
The one, so the required is 1.5 per.
right, so I guess that's what I'm getting at, is you're required to have 3 spaces.
Correct.
So you're saying those 3 are for the
Those are
tenants, and then the one
dedicated for the
spot would
tenant,
be for
yes,
staff?
yes.
All right, that was, because I think in your application you called out 2 spaces per.
We showed as staff parking. I'm not sure what the application read. But yeah, the last sketch plan showed it as staff parking.
Which makes sense because I think you've got some double receiving doors right there. And
Correct.
So that could.
Yep.
And I guess you don't have a way to, there is no other parking opportunity along the back wall of the tank there. Didn't have, let me look at my notes. And then I know that this is site plan, it's not architectural review, so I guess just eventually if you get their questions about what the deck looks like and all of that, you're showing this outdoor seating.
Yes. There was, as part of the original sketch plan, those original prints. You guys do have those.
Right,
So,
yeah.
just want to make sure. There was going to be reference to that. That's why I only submitted this updated site plan.
I think really just, you meet the right number of spaces for the tenants, so I guess the question is, okay with the other parking requirements. And then, we talked about late night noise. That was
Right, there's a-
addressed, and that would definitely apply if there was an outdoor deck there, we discussed that last time.
Yeah, there's gonna be, apartments upstairs, one bedrooms, long-term tenants there. I'm not looking, I don't know who's gonna occupy the space as far as the restaurant, but it's gonna be strongly encouraged that it's gonna be, breakfast, lunch type, early evening, and then that's it.
So Keith?
It's tight, with the parking so long, but it looks like you got everything kind of pulled in there pretty well. But I guess you're working with the limits that you have, and that's good.
Right.
I really don't have any concerns at this point. You're gonna have your tenants, having their capability for parking, and that's paramount, for tenants for sure.
Right.
So I don't think I really have anything else to add to it.
Okay. Good.
I have no questions or comments.
Okay.
I think you've done a nice job on this type, that's a city environment. People are gonna live there, they're not gonna be expecting big parking kind of things. So
Right.
I think it was good.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we're limited by what's here. There's a lot of people say we're a walking city. We have what we have here.
Right.
That, I think it would be a great property, another addition to the city.
Okay.
I really don't have any concerns.
Excellent.
Basically the same thing as what I already said. I think it's a great building. I've always liked that building. It looks like you're maximizing the space and the use of it. When you think about it, that deck is going to be seasonal. So, and to me, if somebody's going to move in upstairs over a restaurant, they're going to know that ahead of time.
Right.
So it's really just the city noise ordinances. No, like I say, I think it'd be a good project, and I think it'd be a great upbringing to that building.
Okay, excellent.
So I too, I commend you for doing the site plan, coming back and looking at that. I think the creative way of dealing with the roll-offs, I think that's a good idea. You got two-sided gates, being able to get to them and then having the pickup come from the other side. I think that's going to work out well.
Right.
It's kept the access easement to the other building, which was of concern for the people next door. So I think that they're going to be satisfied with that.
Yep.
And as far as the size of the building goes, we know that that's a downtown issue. And, from the building that you have further down Warren Street, you're already aware of that. And I know that since that's been reopened, I haven't seen that become an issue. And you've got you now have some history with being able to operate a business in a small
Right.
area. And it doesn't seem to be an issue down there. So I think
No.
It's been busy.
Yeah, no, it's every day.
Yeah, she's very busy down there. So
That's a good job, for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm good with that. Secret?
No secret required, it's a type 2 action, it's replacement or reconstruction in kind on the same site, does not meet the threshold, so clause for that is type 2, no further action required.
Great, thank you. Somebody like to do a site plan approval?
I'd like to make a motion that the Glens Falls Planning Board, acting as the Board of Site Plan Review, hereby grant site plan approval for the project identified as Matthew Hummel, representing Howard Leibowitz, for the property commonly known as 91 to 93 Warren Street, as submitted at the meeting on August 6th, 2024.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Appreciate it.
Next item on our review is a sign review graphics. Graphic Impact Signs Incorporated, presented to a trust of the bank, owner of tax map number 302.20-24-14, commonly known as 37 Bay Street, seeking signboard review and approval for an additional 84-inch by 86-inch aluminum and plastic wall sign pursuant to the City of Glens Falls zoning code chapter 180, section 180-6, subsections 1 and 2. And you are.
I am John Renzi, Graphic Impact Signs representing Trustco Bank. At 37 Bay Street is the former Citizens Bank branch. They had a sign on the front of the building and a sign on the side of the building. What we're looking to do is put a sign of equal dimensions as to what Citizens Bank had. The reason for being in front of the board is because we don't directly front a secondary street, although there is a right-of-way from East Washington that brings you around the backside to where the drive-up canopy is. So to alleviate the traffic flow at the narrow driveway to enter off of Bay Street with the sign on the side of the building visible from East Washington, this serves a purpose to be able to allow people to use that access to get to the drive-up portion of the bank service.
Gotcha. Okay. Anything else?
That's it,
Is
sir.
there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak on this application? Seeing none, I'll start with Ms. Holderquist.
You're replacing what's there. No issue whatsoever.
Tom? Start with you.
I have no questions. Like I say, you're just placing what's there, so no problem.
All right.
No, the lighting is in the back of the site. Lighting off of,
It is set with a time clock. This particular sign, because it does face a residential building, the bank elects to put it on a time clock to have that distinguished. The sign on the front of the building that faces the parking garage, because it is a 24-hour ATM service, they're going to keep that one on.
okay. All right, thank you.
Ms. Murray?
Yep, I have no problems. No questions?
Keith?
All good.
Yeah, my questions were really about the light and how that was going to go. And I knew that front entry is an ATM entry, so that has to be remain lit. So I'm good with that. Don't think there's any speaking of all see this. Don't seeking required of this. I'd make a motion that the Glens Falls Planning Board, acting as a board of sign review, hereby grant approval for the sign for Graphic Impact Signs Incorporated, representing Trustco Bank, for the property commonly known as 37 Bay Street, as presented at the meeting of 6 August 2024, with no conditions. Can I get a second? All in favor? Any opposed?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Our next item on the agenda is another sign review for Diana Klopfer, applicant representing the owner Nancy Skamasi, owner of tax map number 302.20-28-2, commonly known as 16 Exchange Street, seeking planning board review and approval for a 16-foot by 20-foot advertisement mural to be painted on the side of the building pursuant to City of Glens Falls zoning code chapter 220, section 220-19M. This project requires sign review by the board. Good afternoon.
Hi.
How are you?
Good, how are you? I'm Diana Klepfer. I know it's a hard last name. Klepfer, and I'm going to be the owner of Kitchen Vibe, which is going into 16 Exchange Street. And Hannah here, who's very talented, as you all know, was going to paint my logo, and we're going to make it more of like an art piece as well, so it interacts with the community and kind of draws people in. So yeah.
Good to see you again.
Yeah.
Is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak on this application? Seeing none, I will start with Ms. Holden.
I could make some just clarifications
Yes.
about the design.
Okay.
So,
the building color will be repainted entirely prior to me painting. So I actually won't be painting the brick myself, that orange, but I will be painting the sign and then all the design elements on top of that. So,
Side of the building now is blue.
it's yellow.
It's like a yellow
It's
color.
like a yellow, okay.
Yeah, but Nancy is, she is repainting the whole building, so.
And to explain the red accents, yeah, it's actually removed, the using dark sign. The red design on the mural is going to match close, you know, it's difficult with a digital rendering to translate the color correctly, but the red is going to accent the other accents of the building.
The shutters,
The
yeah.
shutters, the door, and then are you doing around the window as well, or are you keeping that?
I think that's a different material, so I don't think you could paint.
Okay.
So that'll be
Yeah.
as is.
Okay. So the entire building will be painted like a orange. It's kind of going to be like a Bohemian style, the orange and the red. But yeah, I will just be painting the sign itself and then the design element.
So the other facades will also be orange, the facings?
Correct. Yeah, it'll be all cohesive, and then the like house that's.
It's gonna
attached
say
to
the brick.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
In the front, the portion that's the brick that faces.
Yep. Yeah, they're not gonna paint over that.
Okay.
It's just the portions that are already painted. It needs a fresh coat, so
Sure.
she picked the color and
Okay.
yeah, it's fun.
Good.
Yep.
Anything else?
I think it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful. Code says that signs that advertise a business may not be painted on the wall. Therefore, the sign review board has to look at this. So I don't know if how we want to proceed with an opinion, or if we want to.
Well, that's us.
Yeah, right. So that's what
We
I'm
are
pointing
the
out.
sign review board, so
Okay.
here we are reviewing. it.
Yeah. That's what I thought was the intention of applying to this
Yeah.
specifically for.
That's the other hat I didn't hear.
Yes.
I think it's beautiful.
Alright, good.
It's the same process too. If I wanted to just paint a mural without any words or like business related, I would have to come here for the sign. It's murals are technically, I think, in this town considered signage.
Okay.
I'm glad you like it.
Keith, I'm sorry.
Brush is up. Yes, it looks great. What's your timeline?
Yeah, so since I'm just doing not like a full coverage mural, it's probably going to be within a week time frame, considering weather. So my biggest kind of question is more about, I think there's a photo reference for where I'm going to need a boom lift to be able to access that. And that has changed now since they redid the sidewalk with the light posts. The most safe and efficient way for me is to be roadside. Basically, it would take up a parking space, and it is near the corner. My question would be, our next steps, like, would that be an encroachment
That's an
permit?
encroachment permit
Okay.
through the clerk's
Through the
office.
state clerk's office. It does have to get approved through county council.
Okay.
So they're twice a month.
Okay.
So it'll depend on when you want to start. I would definitely,
Sooner
you
rather
do the
than later.
permit, you can kind of fill it out tomorrow, because you definitely don't want to sit on it.
Yeah, okay, sounds good. And, I would make sure that I have my own traffic cones, I could, whatever.
That'll be all
I
with the
needed.
encroachment.
Yeah, with the encroachment permit, you put all that information on there, what size the lift is gonna be, how long you think you're gonna need it there, and then just what you're doing to protect the people from walking by. You really didn't have that issue when you were doing the side of the building that faced St. Mary's.
Well, that was different. I don't know
Because you
entirely.
were-
They definitely had to get some sort of permit, but it was like, that was
Right.
taken care of by a third party, so
Right.
I'm not entirely sure.
So this one you can do.
Yes.
So yeah, it's through the clerk's office, and if you
Okay.
just work with them, they'll get you the encroachment permit.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All set, Keith? You're good. Bridget?
No questions, it's beautiful.
Rachel?
I like it. I assume it's gonna be like the other murals where it's got like a protective coating on it and stuff, so.
We haven't discussed the protective coat, but that's something that I could do. The type
It's
of.
up there, but like someone really, you're not gonna get.
Right. And the paint that I use is like a top tier exterior paint that already has UV resistance and weather protection on it. But that's up to the client if they.
No, I think it'll be neat. I like it.
Yeah, it's a different, like, I'm all about bringing more color to the community,
Yeah.
so the orange.
You've done a great job so far.
That row of buildings, it's kind of like they're all like a fun color, and I thought that would just like mesh right in and bring that fun energy back to Exchange Street.
I agree.
Love it over there.
So first I looked at it and I had an issue, because we don't have the murals and we've got a really good thing going in the city.
Yeah.
And this one had that, and then I looked, and then you think about it and you go back to the history of our city, and a lot of the buildings had the old ads painted up there.
That was my whole intention.
So I think it's gonna really add to that block.
Yeah.
I have no issue with it. Be safe when you're doing it, and make
Yeah.
it look like as good as your other stuff.
Yeah. I mean, throwing this out there, if there's any way we could restore some of the old school signage advertisements, I think there's something of value there. Just throwing it out there. But that was
But
definitely
that's
my
kind of
intent.
that
Yeah.
vibe.
Exactly.
You know,
That was-
they used to do that, so.
Yeah.
That's
exactly
one
how-
of the things that when we reviewed the South Street project that's going on the
Yeah.
side of the old Hot Shots building,
Yes.
that is one of the ones that is being restored as
Awesome.
part of that project.
That's gonna look great.
There's a whole ghost tour in the city that shows you all those old signs that you
Really?
walk around and see some of the ones that you might not see.
Yeah.
That's literally how she
Might not
pitched
normally
it.
catch your-
Yeah.
She was like, it's like those old signs, and I was like, oh my god, yeah, that would be great. So,
Yeah, exactly.
we'll try.
Good. Tom?
Same, everything he said. Yeah, you've done great work to the building. I think this area, things like this add life to downtown. You know, I like those murals. You know, like I said, this is something that definitely catch people's eye. So, no, I have no problem.
Yeah, I concur with the rest of the board members. I think this is gonna be, another item as we increase those downtown. I mean, obviously, you've been involved with them a fair amount, and it's nice to see it continuing.
Yeah.
And, the one that's over on the backside of the building on Current Street, on the backside of the Maple Street building is, again, phenomenal. I haven't seen it since that.
Thank you, I appreciate
Very
that.
nice job on that as well.
Thank you.
No secret on this, okay, so then I would make a motion that the Glens Falls Planning Board acting as the Board of Sign Review hereby approves the sign application for Diana.
Clever.
Thank you. Applicant representing the owner of Nancy Smachi for the property commonly known as 16 Exchange Street and as presented at the meeting of 6 August 2024 with no conditions. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? Motion carries. You're good.
Thank you.
The encroachment permit is the next item, and again, I think you get with Emily, she can get that taken care of.
What are we doing here for food? What's going on?
It's really
Ooh,
exciting.
fun question. So I'm going to be doing, it's called micro eatery and event space. So I'm going to be doing like grazing boards, small bites, and baked goods. I specialize in event cakes and dietary restrictions. Like if you need a vegan wedding cake, I can do that for you. So I'll have a lot of options for anyone that has any dietary restrictions as well. I'm gonna do like a loose leaf tea bar and like coffee. I'm trying to get back to like simple and quality, and I wanna source from a lot of local farms in New York State products as much as possible. And also I'll probably be supporting Glens Falls Produce because they're a local family-owned business. And networking with other small businesses as well, and the space will be used for events such as cake decorating classes, and you can rent it out as well for small-scale catered events like bridal showers, baby showers, and anything really.
Nice.
Art shows and stuff. So, yeah.
Good luck.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
The next item on our agenda is sketch plan review. As I am associated with the applicant, I will recuse myself and turn the meeting over to Ms. Murray.
Thank you. Okay, sketch plan review for
Tom Center with Hutchins Engineering.
Thank you.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Ethan Hall. I'm a principal with Rosinski Hall Architecture. Here tonight with Chris Patton, the owner of the property, and Tom Center, who is the civil engineer doing the site work. What we're looking at is Washington Square. It is the property that is bounded by Glens Street on the west, Washington Street on the south, and Harlem Street on the east. This is the current offices of Bartlett Pontiff, Stewart Rhodes. This is the parking lot that's associated. This is a vacant office building here. There was a office building that was here that's previously been removed. And there are two residential units here. This is a current 6-unit, it's unoccupied. It's a 6-unit building at 391. And this is 399 Glen. It is, Chris, how many apartment units?
3 units.
3 units.
2 are
in this apartment here. We're here for sketch plan review, just to introduce the project to you. There's been a lot of discussion about it in the outside in the world. We do have a couple of items that we have to get taken care of with the Common Council. The lot that is on East Notre Dame Street and the lot that was previously an office building over here. Both of those units are in the R1C zone. So we're seeking a zone change for those 2 units to bring that into the GC1. So that will be back in front of this board for a recommendation to the Common Council at the September meeting. And the folks at Bartlett Pontiff, because they are the current owners of that project, will be addressing that. The proposed project is for 2 apartment buildings. One that fronts on Harlem Street is an L-shaped building, 3 stories. There will be 36 total apartment units. The building is elevated. All of the building apartments are handicap accessible. These are very similar to the units that Chris has worked on in a couple other different places. Yep, they are the 8-plex unit that's currently being built on Washington Street. They're a 1-bedroom unit. These will have balconies. Each unit has its own covered balcony that will face the street. They have very similar accessible bathroom. They will be provided with washer and dryer hookup and washer and dryer included in the unit. They have a full kitchen in each unit, and as we said, the building is elevated, so all 3 floors are fully accessible all the way up. There is a recreation and fitness center building that's being proposed on here, which will be for the use of the tenants. We come across to the building that now fronts on Glen Street. This again is a 3-story building, elevated building, similar apartment layouts. Each apartment has its own covered balcony. The ones that face Glen Street are a little bit larger, so we've got balconies that will overlook Glen Street on that side. The units that face north and face south, this building does require a couple of area variances. We are scheduled to be in front of the zoning board. The area variances that we're looking for, the current building that is at 399 Glen Street is currently over the property line by 6 inches. It's on the adjoining property owner's property. That building is being taken down, and the one at 391 is being taken down. The current building that is at 399 is 7 feet from the front property line along Glen Street. So the 2 area variances that we're seeking are along the northern property line, where currently that building is 6 inches over the line. We're going to be 11 feet 4 inches from the property to the closest point of our building, which is actually one of the balconies. So we're increasing that by almost 12 feet from what it is now. The side yard setback there is 15 feet, so we're needing a 3-foot variance. Along Glen Street, we're moving the building back a little bit. It's currently 7 feet from the property line. We're moving it back so that it kind of lines up with the front of Bartlett Pontiff. And we're keeping that at 10 feet 4 inches back from the front property line, so that we can kind of line the building up as visually as you look up Glen Street. A couple of other things that we're looking for. 1.5 spaces per unit. These are 1-bedroom units. Chris's track record is showing that 1.5 is more than what he needs.
Even with 2 bedrooms, we have 75% occupancy on full parking lot. But
with full occupancy.
With full occupancy of the building, he's only utilizing 75% of the spaces that he has. We have a parking agreement worked out with Bartlett Pontiff. They're being provided with the 40 spaces that are required for their building. By layout and by code, 1.5 spaces per unit, we would need 90. We're providing 75, and there are 40 additional units, so we have 115 total on site, and the shared parking agreement between us and them works out that we have more than enough than what we need, according to his track record of these. The rest of the package that you have kind of shows the building layouts. As far as the apartment counts, they are all one-bedroom apartments. We've got some exterior elevations that we've shown. We're using a combination of brick, horizontal, and vertical siding. The building that is on Harlem Street has a brick pan that runs around it. Looking in from Washington into the property, the elevator run by produces this little hut that comes up off the top of it. We've added a clock face to the front of that will be facing the Washington Street side. Both buildings have this entry feature. If you look at the back of the Bartlett Pontiff building, that has a vertical element, which is the main entry coming in off the parking lot. We've tried to mimic that on both buildings. The one that's facing, this is in the parking lot, which will be facing the Bartlett Pontiff building. So that building has that same feature. And again, we did that for this unit, but this one faces Glen Street. So this same entry element faces the Glen Street side. Again, we tried to mix in the brick. We've got horizontal and vertical siding. These are not windows, these are siding panels. This is the stairwell and the storage areas and things of that nature. We've tried to use hip roofs to kind of keep in character with some of the residential spaces that are out there. And
just what you were saying, the elevations, and you flipped over a couple pages there. We're also providing for the tenants and some of the other surrounding buildings that you've already approved on Union and Washington. We're providing a recreation area or a gym area. It's going to be a flexible space. So whether we have a pool table in there, some workout equipment, we just wanted to have a place for some people to get outside and go hang out. That also coupled with a pavilion area. So, yep, the pavilion area.
This area right here is a pavilion, covered pavilion that'll have some like
barbecue grills,
space,
tables, lighting, automated lighting, everything.
We've indicated a significant amount within the parking area at Bartlett Pontiff. There's already a significant amount of trees along the Washington Street side. We're indicating additional landscaping inside our parking area. We're indicating along the north side, adding some trees to the Glen Street side, the trees that are along Harlem Street, and we're adding some trees on the north side of the building between there and the East Notre Dame Street side. So we've got
one thing you noted that I was in contact with National Grid. So these buildings are all part of the New York State Energy Efficiency Program now. We're getting grants, or I don't know if you call them a grant, but from the New York State for not having any natural gas. I know that's kind of a way that we're pushing towards, and so I've been approached by Grid, and they're actually on board with. So we're using high efficiency heating systems and cooling systems, in which I'll be paying for the utilities in the apartments, and then they'll just they're going to kick in money towards the equipment. So the same thing's happening over there on the building on Washington Street. So it's pretty nice that we're kind of sticking with what they're looking for.
I almost cringe to show you these because I know what's going to happen. We've started looking at colors. We printed these this afternoon, and the colors do not match what we've talked about with Chris. But these are kind of a color scheme that we're looking at. They are red brick with tans and browns that we're using, complementary to the ones that are being built currently on Washington and Harlem. Same sort of color scheme, just a little bit different layout. But those are the items that we're looking at there. Same items for those. Again, when we come back to you with the full application, our color scheme will be correct.
Just in renting and feedback that I've gotten from a lot of my current tenants. The only thing that's missing on a lot of my apartments are exterior space. So that's why this building, each and every apartment has a nice outside balcony, 14 Hudson, some of the stuff that you guys have already approved. I mean, they're beautiful properties, and this is what keeps tenants happy and keeps tenants around.
So these outside balconies are going to be 8 foot deep, and the smaller ones are 12 feet wide. The larger ones are 14 and 16 feet. So it's a good space, more so than just a space to put a table and a chair. As opposed to just a 4 foot or a 6 foot balcony. These are actually deep enough that you can put a chair and a couple of tables and things like that out there. So with that, I can take any questions from the board.
And just to the public, this is a sketch plan review, so we're not taking any public comment tonight. We will be taking it when we do the official site plan and architectural review.
And when we come back for some.
And when we come back for zoning. You want to start this one, Andrew?
Do you want to start?
Yeah, that would be good. Nina, I'm sorry.
I'm not trying
I have questions. So, Harlem Street, you're pulling 20 feet off sidewalk and creating a buffer along the street.
Correct.
Did you look at or consider a different mix of unit sizes? In other words, 2-bedroom?
Yeah, we have. I've had just such a higher demand for 1-bedroom apartments in the city of Glens Falls. I have a mix of 2s and 3s and 1s. When I put an application or put I market one of the 2 bedrooms, and we maybe have 4 or 5 applicants. When I market a 1-bedroom, I have 35 applicants. So I'm literally just, supply and demand.
Are these going to be market value or market?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, everything I do is market rate. I'm looking for FHA financing as well, so they're probably going to take care of that. So.
I guess my initial thought is it's dense compared to what's there now, but what's there now is expansive, vacant lot.
Rundown buildings. The one we've heard some comments regarding 391. Chris has been through that building fairly extensively. It's been chopped up. That originally was a single-family residence.
Sure.
It has been chopped up into 6 apartments, and it has been chopped up.
Just to comment, of those 6 apartments that's been broken up to, none of them are occupied. If that tells you anything, they're not even. You can't live in them. They're not. They're not even occupiable. I mean, the building should basically be condemned. So I mean, I've heard public comments, and it's like nobody wants to tear down an old beautiful building, especially me. If it's something that was preserved, even close to its original design from the 40s, 50s, and 60s. I mean, this thing was cut up and it's just been rented and just beat to death. I mean, it's structurally terrible. The roof has been leaking for like decades. The foundation has been leaking into the basement, so it's musty. It's just not able to be renovated. So.
And I'll say I have not seen any comments on that, by the way. So, yeah, I mean, I guess really I'm at the point. I'm just sort of asking questions, not rendering an opinion on the architecture design at this point because that's not where we are. Other than the fact that it is a change in scale to make the single-family homes on the other side there. And,
There's not really any, that's one of the comments, there's not really many single-family homes in that area. There are a few on East Notre Dame, there's a few on the Harlem and closer down to Union Street. But a lot of those are already broken up into apartments and condominiums.
yeah, you're actually, right here is apartments on East Notre Dame.
Yep. There is one single family that's at this location here.
On the other side of Harlem goes,
Yep, and then there's another one that's up front there. So there are a few along there, but a lot of them are apartment units already.
These buildings along here, these apartments, where are those people parking now? Because
That's a good question. I think that there are some of them that are parking in the vacant lot that's behind there. We've checked with the current owners. There's no written agreement. There's no.
and there's no parking for those units either.
They're pre-existing.
I know, no, I know, I mean, it's a question.
It's something that we talked about actually. I mean, if you know, you could
You're showing
consider some kind of.
trees along there, so I guess that is, they have no off-street parking.
We would consider potentially offering some spaces here, if that's something that makes, you know,
No, I was
'cause
just
I don't want to
curious.
box anybody in and give all
Right.
those spaces and crowded streets either. I'm so interested in improving the whole neighborhood, you know, with the buildings there.
I mean, I'm not going to, I guess I'm just ask, that's it. Those are my comments, and simply because we're so early in the process, I just wanted to throw out that, I was wondering, because it's so hard for families to find places to live in those walls, I was wondering what the rationale was behind the policy, one-bedroom apartment units, and I just wanted to comment on the density of it. Colored renderings, even if the colors are off, sort of help to visualize what will be on Glen Street, which is obviously much more visible.
Yeah, we've captured a ton of nice architectural details on there. I mean, we do not by any means make it a run-of-the-mill just apartment building with vinyl siding. We put in your architectural review consultant, so and you can see clearly there's been some big money spent and some design back and forth, both Ethan and I. You know, we had a whole brick facade at one moment. You know, I've added some modern changes to each side of the stair tower. There's a whole glass facade, and the white sections will actually be blacked out.
Yeah, these are actually the spandrel glass similar to what's on the.
It'll look it'll be like a glass, curtain wall essentially. So I think it's a nice rendering. Yeah,
Yeah, this is the sign that will face Glen Street.
we didn't want to put something up, on Glen Street. There's been some projects that have been up there that, stuck by. But this one's going to be something to look at for sure.
Will the facade treatment be similar over on Harlem Street?
Say that again.
Will the facade treatment be similar on Harlem Street?
Yes.
In terms of materials?
Yep, same type of materials, same thing that we're looking at there.
There's no need for a curtain wall on that side.
No.
Staircases, but yeah, they'll all be similar.
This is that side,
Yeah.
broken that up with several different gables. We've brought the relief of the front of this building out. This steps out 4 feet, so there's a 4-foot exchange there. And it's just based on how the building fit on the lot so that we could stay on that 20-foot setback to Harlem. Again, the balconies on that side don't extend out from the facade of the building. They're built back in the building.
Right, they're tucked in.
Yep.
And then the ground floor, they've got the sliding glass doors that'll go out to.
Covered patio.
Concrete patio.
It's a covered patio that's out in front of it.
And the covered pavilion, that's for
Just
anybody.
occupants there at the building primarily. I mean, we'll have to monitor that, but the recreation area will be like a key coded access, you get a key fob or whatever. So, not sure if that would be a commercial space or not. It's kind of a flex space at this moment.
Those are my questions.
Thank you.
Is this, you plan on doing this all at once, or is this we done in phases?
I would get all the foundations done at the same time, and then we would, probably knock out the smaller building first. It helps to work in unison, but this is a pretty large scale project.
Yeah.
I would say, I can't answer that question right at the moment, but we're definitely gonna have foundations, infrastructure, any electrical, banks and all that stuff done, and then we would probably phase the first step and then the second thing after. Makes sense to get it all done as soon as possible, like anyone wants to do.
And it was mentioned too of an agreement where you can have like overflow parking into the law firm office.
Yep, yeah, the owners, they are the current owners, and they actually suggested it.
Yeah.
Their office hours run 8 to 5. That's when normally they're going to need more parking 8 to 5 during the weekdays, and then that's when most people are going to be gone. So any overflow from that.
Is this going to be part of this project that will lease back to the lawyers or no?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
You're going to own that building, so that's all, this is going to be all under this umbrella that will lease back.
Yeah. It was a deal that I created actually. It wasn't for sale. It never hit the market. So it was something that The attorney's office.
1 Washington Street.
Oh, okay. Got it.
I have a similar parking situation with the Travelers Building in the parking garage that's there. Couldn't be more happy with it. The people that park at 276 Glen or 274 Glen, they park obviously in the garage in the evening. We have a parking agreement worked out, so that parking garage fills up during the day when everybody comes into work, and then they all leave, and my tenants come in, and everybody gets premium parking. The tenants leave, and then my tenants come in the evening and get premium parking as well. So it's the flex space really seems to work out well.
The other thing is too, I mean, just a personal reflection, but, I mean, this definitely, to me, looks like more of an upscale project than what's on Harlem now.
That's right.
Okay.
Harlem is one of the best lit streets in the city. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It just needs a little kick in the butt, I guess,
Yeah.
to say the least. I think it's going to be beautiful.
Yeah.
The lighting on Harlem, Chris brings that up, that's a very well lit street. When 333 Glen was purchased, the overflow parking that they needed at that time
When the building was full.
when that whole thing was full, they had parking on Union Street. They had that lot that was behind the old junior high school. And they actually came to the board and said, we want to add lighting up Harlem Street because our staff goes in and out. That was when it was not a 24-hour operation, but it was a two shift operation. And they had people coming and going early morning, late night, and walking from 333 Glen over to Union. It was fairly dark, so that is how all that light came about on there. Those light poles are spaced. I think those are 75-foot light poles. And yeah, you can land an aircraft in there.
Sure. I think other than that, I'm all set.
It's gonna be a big project. I don't have a good addition to the city. I like that being more upscale. Don't face Glen Street. We've added a lot more of what I wanted in the other project that's going on right now. Not real happy with a couple of things there, to be honest with you.
These are going to be...
Can't wait to see the elevations here.
Yeah, these are going to be handled a little differently. You're referring to the HVAC.
Yeah, where's that going?
So these are a little bit different HVAC.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say. I wasn't happy with that either. And so bear with me because I'm not finished there. And so I plan to put a ton of trees. Obviously, with this being a building that hopefully will go across the street, and nobody wants that to look nicer than me. So again, let me finish that project. I think you're going to be happy with the outcome on this particular building because there are so many units. I've reached out to some of our local suppliers and we've talked about using the large scale like Fujitsu or Mitsubishi type units, ones that you see perhaps at like a Marriott hotel.
Yeah.
Bolted on the side of the wall. They control up to 16 heads. There are 12 units per floor. We'd have 16 because we have common space corridors and stairwells. So this large scale unit would do that entire floor. So on a 36 unit building like this, we have 3 outdoor units. So I mean, there's definitely a ton of added expenses to do it that way. It's me absorbing the cost of not only the energy bills and trying to distribute that throughout the tenants, but also the labor and the material costs. I mean, it's big. But again, like I mentioned before, reaching out, National Grid coming to me, and then telling me that there's a huge credit for the clean energy bill in New York. I mean, they're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars in contributions in check form just back in the state. So.
And that was I don't
back
know.
every month on the nicer to make that. I live walking distance, right, 100 yards from there.
Gotcha.
So there's so many people that I know that want what we have. Right downtown is just great and phenomenal.
Yeah.
So, and you're getting the calls, like you said, your occupancy is through the roof.
It is.
So the nicer you make this and the better you make it, it comes back every month.
I can't agree more. Yeah, I mean, we tried something different there. I did a large scale building over at Union. I wanted to do a 2-story. Now we're getting into a little bit better projects. I mean, that's kind of the evolution of my company. So.
And the thing that I think Chris mentioned, I don't know if everybody caught it, is that with these units, heat and air conditioning would be included in the rent as part of the package. So it's not, not everybody has to get their own electric bill and worry about dealing with that. So
Well, we're a convenience society. So.
exactly.
Yeah. It just works, so it's going to be nice. We're looking great across from the new stores.
So I do have an issue with tearing down homes. What is the historical aspect of Green Lane?
Neither of the homes that are there are listed. I've been through the historic register. Neither of them are listed. The only ones that are listed are the ones that are across the street and further up Glen. There's neither of these two buildings that are coming down around the historic register. They're not part of the city's historic register. So.
What is the distance between where the fence will be and the neighbor's yard or the neighbor's property on Glen?
This fence up here
Yep.
will be within what's required for the 12-inch setback. I mean, we're going to put that fence right along that edge.
How close to their property line?
It'll be within, the way the fence code reads is you have to be able to maintain the fence from your property. So we'll have to be 18 inches to 2 feet in.
Have you spoken with them?
I don't know if you.
I'm sorry, though. Right now, did you catch the first step? The current property is
That-
actually 6 inches over the line.
I got that.
So-
But I'm wondering if you've spoken to the current residents of those properties. That's all I'm asking. Yep, I see that. I saw it. So that is my concern because that's a large building going next to homes that are absolutely beautiful. This is Hometown USA. So I do have a big concern with this building up on Glen. That Harlem side, that's a different story. I don't want a big building up there because I don't think it fits. So you have these homes that are on Glen, the corner of Glen and East Notre Dame that are adorable and have been there for I don't know how long. And now you're going to put a giant, how many floors? Three-story building.
Which is within the zone, right? You're allowed to go that high.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking of the neighbors.
Right, so then you're saying it doesn't conform. I was just curious.
No, I'm
Washington
voicing
Street
the
is the same
concerns of
size.
the neighbors.
I hear you on the neighbors.
Yep.
The other neighbor, though, is the same exact size building, right? So there's two neighbors.
You mean the
There's
home?
One Washington Street.
Nope, I'm not talking about the small homes on
I
East
get
Notre
it.
Dame.
There's just two neighbors there.
So I do have concerns with that size of a building on Glen Street, next to those homes. And I guess, having Stewart's and Chuck Marshall work so much with a neighbor, I would love to see that followed suit. Because,
So no problem on Harlem Street
nope.
with the neighbors here. No concern, no issues with their concern, correct?
Well, these are buildings, yes.
Excuse me.
So I do the size, right? It seems like there is more space on here than there is on there. So I do have a concern. That's one of my concerns. I mean, if you could move that building back, I think that would be more ideal.
The only issue with moving it back is that then our parking winds up on the street, and it's a whole lot less desirable to put the parking up there than it would be down
I know.
there.
I think that's going to be a major issue, especially if I lived there. I would not be happy with a 3-story building with 24 units.
The balconies are facing side to side.
So 2 balconies here face forward, 2 balconies here face north, and 2 balconies here face south, east, and 2 balconies here face south.
On each floor.
What's that?
On each floor.
Yeah.
So that's my biggest issue, is I just want you to work with the neighbors. Anything else? Stay right here.
I think it's a really viable project. It's already previous projects already done, shown a good neighborly environment to Glens Falls. And I think that think this will add to it as well. Other than that, I don't really have anything else at this point. We've covered a lot today. Thank you.
Just as far as the zoning goes, if you're looking to rezone, which you know, it takes quite a while, and as far as the process, so I would get that going.
It's already started.
It is,
Yep.
it's a letter
Yep.
of the mayor's
So part of
office.
the fund has already been over, met with the mayor, they met with Karen Judd. That process has already started. They're hoping to be on the second August meeting.
So it has to come to the clerk's office, because we haven't seen it yet, so I'll talk to them then, because there's a process.
It was,
we have
it was
to
supposed
start.
to have already been delivered to the mayor's office.
Okay. All right,
I'll
then
check with John.
I'll check with Megan in the morning, because I don't think we've received it, and
Well,
it's kind of started with us.
it may have gotten to the second floor.
Yeah, that's what I was worried about, that takes a while. And then just as a comment, because we see it a lot, I don't know if at some point your parking, as far as maybe doing like some kind of permitted parking, because
We have that
it's
already.
becoming
Yeah.
scarce downtown, so I just, for your own suggestion of maybe having permitted parking in your parking lot.
We have it in all of our buildings.
Oh, you do, okay, I wasn't
Yeah.
sure. Okay, perfect, that was my thought.
Yeah.
I do appreciate how the building I do is being run.
Thank you.
I really do. It's
I've had nothing but positive feedback. I have great tendency. I have a
Those
waiting
guys
list to get
has
in.
disappeared in hours.
Yep. I mean, the automated lighting, it lights up it's just, I'm really proud of that building, and I'm very proud of the one in Washington as well. So, once we get done there, rest assured it will look nicer. If I have to put little covers over each one of those basements, I will do that. Yeah, I don't want to look into it either. So.
No, I think you heard everybody's things. I share everybody's sort of feelings too. I'll be anxious to see the real colors, because I think it's not gonna match the ones you're doing now. is it?
No.
Okay, that's the
It'll
one,
be-
I think
it'll
it's
be-
weird with that.
Yeah, we
No,
want
it'll be complimentary to that.
Okay.
We want it to complement One Washington.
Right.
I'll be the owner of One Washington as well. So we want to, that's a beautiful building, right? We can all agree One Washington is gorgeous, right? It's brick, it's just, it's
Everything around
everlasting.
is gorgeous. You have the Methodist church,
Right.
you have the synagogue, you have all these beautiful buildings.
Agreed.
Yeah, we just want to see it be at the same level.
Oh, I can't agree more. I want it all to look, I want to call it Harlem Heights. That's serious. I mean, why not embrace the name of the street? It's not
I
the
think
best
anything you
name.
can put into it to make it sort of unique and stand out and
Right.
see these architectural features would be, I think everybody would enjoy that.
Yeah, I agree.
I think especially getting into a three-story building, that could be a lot of clad work unless it's color work.
Sure.
Yeah, and that's why we're going with it.
Yeah, the panel signs, like those
Yep.
things that you use.
They do.
Yeah.
Breaking up,
Breaking up the
monotony of
scale.
building, for sure. You should have seen the first rendition. I had more cuts and lines, and I'm like, come on. So.
Does anybody else have any other comments? And for the public, we will be taking public comments when we get the official site plan review and the zoning.
Absolutely. Great. Thank you very much. We appreciate your feedback.
Thank you.
I'll leave that there. You're just shooting my You're good. You're good. I believe then is the last item on our agenda. For the edification of the board, Ms. Andrews has filed her resignation from the board. Her schedule for work has changed and does not allow her to any longer be a part of the board. She submitted her resignation to the mayor's office Monday. I believe it was Monday. I haven't had a chance to speak to her. I did text back and forth with her a little bit. But I would like to thank Kim for her service to the city of Glens Falls and to this board. I think she did a great job. She came in, I want to say 4 years ago, maybe. Yeah, it was, well, Mayor Hall was, it was, yeah. Yeah, with Dr. Doyle, after Dr. Doyle left. But she was an appointee from Mayor Hall, so. Outside of that, is there anything else for the greater good of the board? No, then I would make a motion that we adjourn the meeting of 6 August 2024. Second? All in favor? Thank you very much.